Know about rolling down in the deep, down in the deep.
Now I know y'all be loving this shit right here.
Know about rolling.
What you gonna do?
Rolling.
What you gonna do now?
Down in the rolling.
What you gonna do? Right, y'all be loving this.
Tired of feeling unprepared in your role? Wouldn't it be great to have the skills and support needed to excel? Officers face multiple demands without proper training. Meet ADB Training, a comprehensive training program designed to equip officers with essential skills in mental health, crisis intervention, and community building. This program empowers officers to confidently navigate their diverse roles. How it works. Unleashing the elite, the new era of law enforcement training. Join Monty Bynum as he champions a transformative approach to policing, breaking the chains of outdated training, igniting a revolution in officer preparedness. Beyond the badge, redefining the role of police officers. Discover how ADB Training is reshaping the narrative, empowering officers to embrace their multifaceted roles. Courage to lead, reclaiming the heart of policing. In a world of uncertainty, Monty Bynum's vision calls for a return to core values: train, support, and trust. With unparalleled confidence and skill, striving to earn community respect, one officer at a time. Plus, accessible mental health resources. Ensure officers' well-being. Improved officer skills. Enhanced community trust. Better mental health support. A proactive approach to policing. What our officers say. Sounds inspiring? Join ADB Nation.
Get that bigger. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. What's going on? What's up? Glad you guys can make it to another episode of Black and Blue. The podcast is just for you. I am your host. I am Coach Clee. I'm your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker. Yes, if you open up the Crimes Code book of 302, you'll see Ecclesiastics, the coldest code switching detective. And my name is spelled CLEE, and that stands for Continuing Law Enforcement Edutainment, because we entertain and we educate throughout this whole process. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. This is a follow-up from last week. I hope you guys saw last week's show. We're going to have a brief recap of what's going on, but we're going to continue on with part 2 of A Different Breed with Monty Bynum on here. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a great lineup for you. As he said, he's on here. Thank you, Seti, for tuning in. Tag, like, share. I appreciate you for being here. We got a great show lined up for you today. We got a great show we're going to talk about. For one, we're going to follow up on part 2 of Different Breed and how training, getting back to the basics and things, experiences, lessons learned from Monty Bynum's point of view. We're also going to talk about use of force, because that's a topic, lethal and less lethal. Because that's a topic that we need to revisit often, and especially right now with the video I'm going to show. I got a video. Sergeant B Safe's going to talk about less lethal and lethal force. We got that video, if you've already seen it, with those 2 kids who are get hunkered down. They're 7 and 9 years old or something like that, and they had to be disarmed by the New Mexico sheriffs. We're going to see a couple of that video and see some highlights from that. We're going to talk about use of force from a trainer video as well. Then we're going to jump right into the interview with Monty Bynum. So make sure you tag, like, share, subscribe, hit that like button for me, because this podcast, we're streaming on 5 different platforms, maybe even more, but we're on a couple on Facebook. We're on 1 on LinkedIn. We're on 2 on YouTube. So therefore, I can't see who's all on here. And if you have a question or if you want that shout out, make sure you put your name and where you're from in the comment section, and I'll give you that shout out that you're looking for. This will also be uploaded on the Spotify afterwards. So make sure if you're a Spotify fan, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and share that as well. I appreciate all shares, all likes, all that, because we're growing the platform. We're expanding, having we're having a good time. This is the platform. If I didn't already explain, it's the platform Black and Blue, where, of course, it's the podcast just for you. We interview first responders and law enforcement officers, whether they're rookie season or trainees, and we talk about their experiences, their publications, and their trainings. I probably messed all that up. The training experiences and publications. And we do that at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. So make sure that you guys are here. We're preferably on LinkedIn or Facebook is where the biggest growth seems to be occurring. Shout out to all my law enforcement officers again, because this is Police Week. This is Police Memorial Week, and today, May 15th, this actual day is Police Memorial Day. Let me see if I can get this banner back up here to show a little celebration here. Where's that? Let me see if I can get this up. Here we go. Get this back up here. Absolutely. Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 15th. Shout out to all of you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all of your service as we continue to get this thing going on. Let me clear out some of these other videos that are not necessary. Did I get the right one? I hope so. If not, then we just missed one. All right. Where am I at? Yeah, I got the right one. All right, cool. Thank you guys again. Who we got in here? We got Rich Oakley, my guy Rich. Thank you. I appreciate you. You're here weekly. You former guest on the show. Tremendous story. Thank you for tuning in. He's tuning in from VA. VA is in the house. Absolutely. All right, what am I missing over? I got the Spotify. This is sponsored by One Way Publishing. One Way Publishing is the sponsorship that sponsors this platform right here, Black and Blue, the podcast. It also sponsors One Way, Sergeant Be Safe. I'm getting confused. Sergeant Be Safe. Sergeant Be Safe has his own YouTube channel as well. But they sponsor both. One Way Publishing also is a book publishing company. You see a couple of my books. You see a couple of the clients' books behind them as well. Their motto is they can turn a mere thought into a book that's bought. So if you ever wanted to write your own book, whether it was fiction, nonfiction, cookbook, comic book, autobiography, with a story, a fantasy, whatever it may be, they can make that thing happen for you. So workweekly.com. It's in the comment section and scrolling below. It's how you want to do that. If you want to be a guest on the show, that's the easiest way to become a guest. And some voiceovers will make it on the Sergeant Be Safe. All that will apply if you go to that website right there. All right, we're gonna jump right into. We're gonna kick the show off with the Sergeant Be Safe, that explainer video. You already saw one Sergeant Be Safe video. We're gonna jump into the use of force to kick this show off. So stand by. Sergeant Be Safe has a couple things to say, and we're gonna have a great show today. I hope this is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be great. I hope you guys are ready.
Use of force by law enforcement and the force spectrum. Welcome to Sergeant B Safe's Guide to Force, the Safety Spectrum. By the end of this training, you will understand the different levels of force used by officers. Recognize the importance of using appropriate force. Learn about legal protections against excessive force. Identify scenarios where different levels of force may be applied. Here are the key topics and techniques we will discuss. Officers' presence can diffuse tense situations. How to calm. Just seeing an officer can help everyone relax. Action. Officers bring a calming presence to the scene. Talking it out is a powerful tool. How to communicate. Officers use words to de-escalate. Action. They try to talk it out before taking action. Gentle holds are used when necessary. How to manage. Gentle holds can help control without harm. Action. They use gentle holds to ensure safety. Less lethal tools help maintain order. How to assist. Less lethal tools can help without serious harm. Action. Tools like tasers are used carefully. Lethal force is only for extreme cases. How to protect. Lethal force is a last resort. Action. Used only in the most serious situations. Now let's see how these concepts apply in real life. Pause and reflect. Is the officer using words effectively? Your action should be: observe and support the officer's approach. An officer uses a gentle hold on a non-compliant individual. What should you do? Pause and assess. Is the hold being used safely? If it seems safe, watch to ensure the situation remains calm. An officer deploys a taser in a controlled manner. What should you do? Pause and evaluate. Are less lethal tools being used properly? If so, support the officer's decision in a tense situation. Now let's recap what you learned. Understanding the force spectrum is key for safety. Officers must use the least amount of force necessary. Excessive force can lead to serious consequences. Legal protections exist to safeguard individual rights. Let's all support our officers in using their powers wisely to keep our community safe. Thank you for participating in Sergeant B. Safe's training.
I'm gonna go back here, see if I can bring us both to the screen here. Both things. No. Yeah, here we go. See if I can rewind this a little bit. Talking about use of force here. Yeah, that's the frame I want right there. Talking about use of force with all the incidents that's going on in the world and everything that's happening. There's a lot of questions on use of force and what's justified and what's not. And it's good to revisit it. Often for law enforcement and for the community itself to understand what the rules are, what the regulations are, where the standards are. Because a lot of confusion gets mixed in, a lot of conversations, things get kind of talked out of hand, and revisiting these conversations is a good way to kind of restart the conversation or rekindle it. And so therefore this training, this one, is just the kickoff training. And you see Major Payne right there, the chief of all of them, the boss of them, of this crew. He's the one who gave the presentation. He's on to the far left, the old guy with the gray shirt. Then you see SWAT officer Clay Moore. Then you see Officer Sage State. What's her name? Stiletto Steele. I forget sometimes. And Sergeant Be Safe right there in the middle. Inspector Chase Clarity, the detective right there in the all black, and then the K9 officer Captain Chaos right there on the other end. I just wanted to introduce those guys quickly. These guys off the screen, you had enough of seeing them, but just to introduce and let you guys know who they are. And what the point of the video was. The point of the video is a good lead off topic because if you haven't already seen it, like I said, we're going to cover the Police One incident where the two kids, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, were playing with a real actual loaded gun, and they were just being kids and being goofy. And could they have caused more damage than they did? Yes, they could have, very much so, to the point where they were somewhat barricaded, and a team had to form and go ahead and bring order to that chaos, for a lack of a better term. So we're going to watch that video. The first video right there is not going to have any sound. I'm going to do my best to read the article from my phone. So don't judge me. It's going to be, the font's going to be a little off, but then we're going to watch the follow-up video. The follow-up video is not going to be as long. It's going to be from the body cam point of view to kind of understand both sides of it. So you can see, first one, you'll see the kids. The kids' faces are blurred out and blocked out, so you don't have to worry about that. Then the second cam will be the body cam from one of the deputy sheriffs that were there, and we'll see how that action plays out here. Let me see if I can get this on the screen. Not on the screen, sorry. If I can get this on my phone here. Let me minimize this one. Bear with me. And bring this up. There we go. All right. In this video, New Mexico deputies disarmed children ages 7 and 9 after a standoff with a loaded gun. Drone, good job with the drone, having operational drones. The video shows Bernalillo County deputies confronting armed children after at least 50 previous calls to the same home, the sheriff said. This was published May 12th of this year. Sarah Roebuck. Albuquerque, New Mexico, deputies in the Bernalillo, I hope I'm saying that correctly, County Sheriff's Office, BCSO, encountered a situation in February that Sheriff John Allen would shock the conscience of the Bernalillo County. Two boys, ages 7 and 9, stood in front yard passing a loaded gun back and forth. Drone and body cam video released by the BCSO on May 8th shows deputies working to convince the boys to put the gun down during the February 16th incident. One deputy can be heard telling them, "You're not in trouble." Another pleads, "This isn't a game." At one point, the deputy yells that they're trying to help. The boys continue to handle the weapon. Deputies discuss their limited options, including deploying a less lethal round. The boys continue to handle the weapon. Deputies discuss their limited options. Yes, I said that. The less lethal round is eventually fired to distract the boys. Allen said at one point, one of the boys raised the gun and pulled the trigger, but the firearm malfunctioned. Thank goodness for that. Had it gone off, Allen said, one of our deputies could have taken deadly force. That would not have gone well with anybody in the nation. I agree. Video shows the deputies move in safely, disarm the boys. The February 16th incident ended without any injury, and the firearm was seized. Allen discussed the case during the May 8th press conference, highlighting the work of the BCSO's Behavioral Health Unit and announcing a new initiative to expand services for individuals in crisis, especially the youth. Allen said deputies had responded to the family's home at least 50 times before the standoff due to issues with the boys and their family, the Albuquerque Journal reported. According to Allen, the boys were taught how to use a firearm and learned the behavior they displayed that day. The department used its drone program to monitor the scene in real time, which Allen gave deputies enhanced situational awareness and helped them avoid a deadly outcome. This technology allowed deputies to secure the area swiftly and safely, ultimately preventing a potential deadly force encounter with the juveniles, the sheriff said. Allen emphasized that the response was about taking the right step first. Children are our future. We know one side is going to say, lock them in jail. He said, they're 7, they're 9. I told you before numerous times in numerous interviews that I understand the frontal lobe. He added that they were several years older. We'd probably be speaking differently and doing the reverse route. Arresting people isn't the only way out of a crisis of a juvenile crime, Allen said. You have to look at it from a bunch of different avenues and resources you have, and then the criminal elements that come later. After the incident with BCSO's behavioral unit, made up of deputies, clinicians, paramedics, responded to provide wraparound services to the family. That included trauma therapy, parenting support, transportation to appointments, and grocery cards. The boys also received psychiatric evaluation, but getting help wasn't easy. Michael Lucero, clinical manager of the unit, said that the team ran into multiple barriers, including Medicaid being denied to the boys because of his age and treatment delays sketching up to 6 weeks. We have highly educated, highly skilled people on this team, and it took all of us just to navigate a few multiple systems, Lucero said, and we're still running into barriers while working on the case. No charges have been filed against the children or their parents, but Allen said criminal charges, including those available under the Benny Hargrove law, may still be considered, according to the Albuquerque Journal. All right, and that's a summation of that article right there. I'm going to speed ahead on this video so we don't. We're almost there. All right, that took just about the right amount of time. And as you can see, the less lethal rounds going off. You can still see the kid. One of the kids looks like the kid in the red, still holding the gun. The gun looks like it's all white. Not a toy gun. It is a loaded firearm, and their fingers were on the trigger. Did squeeze the trigger, and a projectile was not released from the firearm because the weapon did malfunction. So we're watching this from the kid's point of view. Then we'll follow it up, like I said, and watch it from the body cam, which will have sound. All right, and we're only going to watch the last couple seconds. You see the deputy swoop in and obtain the firearm, get the kids, and then no one gets injured. Good job to those deputies. Shout out to them. I know that's not an easy situation to deal with. That's very stressful and intense because no one wants to have to deal with kids who are no one wants to have to deal with kids, period, especially the kids that are under the age of 10 and having to do something like that and hoping for a peaceful outcome. So that one was a good outcome, but let's follow up with the body cam right here. Here we go.
Try to do a warning, something.
Put it down, Sean. We don't want to hurt you, okay?
I just don't want to fucking.
Put it down, Sean.
I really don't want to fucking 48 kid right
We
now.
don't want to hurt you, and we want to help you, okay?
Aim it and fire.
It'd be.
48.
Put it down, baby.
40 going out. 40, 40, 40.
Drop it! Drop it!
Let's loop around right there.
Drop it, Sean! Load another one.
Let's loop around to distract them.
Drop it now! You're gonna get hit!
Drop the gun!
Drop it!
You dropped the gun! Taser, taser, taser! Put your hands up! Drop the kid! Put your hands up! Put them up! Drop it! Hands up!
Drop it now. Drop it, both of you.
I don't even have the gun. I don't have the gun.
Get over here.
10-3, 10-4.
And good job again to those deputies. You got to see it right there with the body cam version. Parenting is one thing. To actually have kids get firearms that are loaded and ready to go, and then I was be outside causing a situation that didn't need to happen. So good job to those deputies, and I hope that the family gets the services and counseling they need in order to be productive. And those kids will hopefully they learn from this and will do better and can also be better and productive individuals for society. So showing that video, showing that could have ended up with deputies being shot or injured or killed, and therefore the kids being injured or unalived as well. And no one wants to see that. That's showing. It shows a little bit. They said taser. They used the less lethal. I heard at least 2 rounds go off of either a beanbag or the rubber bullets going off. over their heads to distract them, which was utilized to help the situation become for a better outcome. But there are points in times, we all see it in our nation all the time, when deadly force is justified and necessary. Deadly force is necessary to hurt someone. Is that what it's for? It's to stop the threat. Deadly force is to stop the threat. Once the threat is stopped, then the force is stopped as well. Okay, understand that concept. Fill in the blanks right there. All right, we're gonna have an explainer right here. This one is the which video do we have coming up here? This is the less lethal versus lethal conversation. So make sure you guys check this out. Go ahead, get those likes up. Let me know what you guys are thinking, because right after that, we're gonna have the main event. So listen up with this one.
Force dichotomy: less lethal versus lethal force in law enforcement. Introduction. Today, we explore the critical distinctions between less lethal and lethal force in law enforcement. Understanding these differences is vital not just for police officers, but also for the communities they serve. Force may be necessary in specific situations, such as self-defense or protecting others, but how and when it is applied can make all the difference. The use of force. The International Association of Chiefs of Police defines use of force as the effort required to compel compliance from an unwilling subject. However, there is no universal definition or set of rules governing this use. Officers are guided by their agencies, but context is everything. No two situations are identical, and officers must rapidly assess threats and respond accordingly. Time, situational awareness, and the officer's training play crucial roles in deciding how force is applied, whether it's a verbal command, physical restraint, or, in dire situations, the decision to use lethal force. The continuum of force. Law enforcement operates on a continuum of force. This spectrum begins with physical presence. An officer's uniform can often deter potential threats. The next step is verbalization, where clear communication can diffuse tension. If those efforts fail, officers may resort to empty-hand control techniques, grabs or restraints that minimize injury risk. Less lethal methods, such as tasers or pepper spray, provide alternatives before escalating to lethal force. Finally, lethal force, defined as actions creating a substantial risk of death or serious injury, should be the last resort, employed only when absolutely necessary. Excessive force and legal considerations. Excessive force occurs when officers use more force than is necessary for a situation. This can lead to events classified as police brutality, a violation of civil rights. The Fourth and Eighth Amendments of the Constitution offer protections against such abuses, emphasizing the need for reasonableness in force application. Landmark Supreme Court cases, like Tennessee versus Garner, set strict criteria for when lethal force is justified, requiring a significant threat to life. The distinction is crucial. Excessive force is broader, encompassing any unreasonable application of power, while brutality specifically involves excessive force by law enforcement during an arrest. Common misconduct and conclusion. Misconduct often arises when officers exceed the appropriate level of force, whether it's using lethal measures when less lethal options could suffice, or applying unnecessary physical violence. The use of force spectrum helps guide officers in making these decisions, promoting accountability and protecting civilians. In conclusion, understanding the differences between less lethal and lethal force is essential for law enforcement officers and the communities they serve. Striking the right balance not only enhances safety, but also upholds trust and accountability, a foundation for effective policing. Thank you. Broadly speaking, the use of force by law enforcement officers becomes necessary and is permitted under specific circumstances, such as in self-defense or in defense of another individual or group. There is no single, universally agreed-upon definition of use of force. The International Association of Chiefs of Police has described use of force as the amount of effort required by police to compel compliance by an unwilling subject. Officers receive guidance from their individual agencies, but no universal set of rules governs when officers should use force and how much. Context counts. No two situations are the same, nor are any two officers. In a potentially threatening situation, an officer will quickly tailor a response and apply force, if necessary. Situational awareness is essential, and officers are trained to judge when a crisis requires the use of force to regain control of a situation. In most cases, time becomes the key variable in determining when an officer chooses to use force. The difference between less lethal force and deadly force for law enforcement is as follows. Deadly force refers to any use of force that creates a substantial risk of causing death or serious bodily injury. Less lethal force involves physical effort to control, restrain, or overcome the resistance of another, but does not create a substantial risk of death or serious injury.
All right, and so I hope that explains it. It gives you a breakdown right there with a little bit of visuals. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section, and we will address them. If you had no questions at all, if you're enjoying it or you're learning something, let me know. Let me know. Make sure you get those likes up there because likes are free, and I appreciate those likes. But we're gonna move right into it. We're gonna transition now. We're moving into the part 2 of the interview. We got part 2 of the interview with Monty Bynum of the 3-part series. This is gonna be part 2. It's a follow-up from last week's message dug deep into becoming yourself, of becoming getting back to the roots of law enforcement. This one's going to pick up right where it left off. And if you haven't already seen the first one, make sure you go back and see it, check it out. Make sure you check out his clips, make sure you check out his LinkedIn page. But he's got 32 years, yes, over 3 decades serving in law enforcement or as a first responder. He's been in the Marines, he's been in law enforcement, he's been affiliated with the DEA, he's been affiliated with the FBI, he's been a special agent, he has dismantled criminal empires. He is the founder of ADB Nation, which is a different breed nation. A different breed is his goal is to change the future of policing and make sure he checks the facts. He gives you the readings and he gives you thinking points all over LinkedIn. But we had a great discussion, very insightful. And so here's part 2. Enough of me and more of him. Here we go.
Hey, you're a cop or you're a firefighter, you're this and you're that. I want to do this. Can you tell me the pitfalls or help me out get my mind right? Well, that's the thing to your point. When you get your mind right and open, that there's abundance and you can have whatever. If you have a great business, when it's real estate or let's say this training company, the money will come. You can find people that, and that's when we get out of that mindset, then the world is open.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it discusses, you were tapping on fear, insecurity, and lack. You know, we're maybe fearful of what we don't know, insecure because, all right, I'm going to just stay in my lane because this is
what are they training us, right? Exactly right. Like for years, we're like, hey, Clay, guess what? I'm so excited. You know, they were talking about 2%. Guess what? We're going to get 4%. 4%? I mean, let's go crazy and say 5% or 10%. What does that equate to? It's pennies. Yeah. And we've been trained like little monkeys. Mm-hmm. I haven't never heard of a 10% increase. Let alone, I mean, you know, let alone 5% is very, you know,
yeah.
But we're trained like that's a good thing. We don't know any better. And I've always like I never really worried about my money. I understood. I sat down and did the numbers and said, if I really want more, that's going to come from me. And I can't sit there and complain because at best I've never heard of like a 20%, 30%, 40% increase. Well, that's not going to move the needle.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to figure it out. There are people ahead of me, books that are written from the past, explaining how people did that with nothing.
Yeah.
I just have to do the work and find and then connect with people that are open-minded. If you want to sit in a room with other people that are going to sit there and tell you you can't, that's what you got.
That's what, yeah.
And don't be looking for every get-rich-quick thing. It's going to take work. And that's okay. And that's what you want.
Yeah, good explanation. I'm glad you touched on that. We hear that often. We get so conditioned in our mindset and so conditioned in our trainings and what we're used to, our environment. You change up the environment. You hang with a squad or a group of guys or friends, and they're all considered quote unquote low level thinkers or good with the status quo. They're not challenging themselves to get out their comfort zone. You too will become that next person. Or if you're hanging with those who are looking for the next thing, who are expanding, looking to grow outside the comfort zone, working on themselves, a self-starter, self-initiators, you too will become that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, they mean well, but they can only give you advice from where they're at. And when it comes to that, it's so funny because I teach money laundering, and I teach it because I was seeing our drug guys were so panicked about the money. But that's, if you really want it, I've never had people really get all upset about like, well, this is going to give you 15, 20 years. I'm like, okay, good deal. I've had people really nut up when I'm like, oh, by the way, I just seized your $500,000 or your $3 or $4 million, or the house you got in your mama's name. Yeah, oh, that's when they lose their mind. Now they want to talk work out a deal. They'll sit down. They understand that's the rules of the game. That's how you play. And they also know that that 20 years will probably knock down to 7.
Yeah.
But we are perfectly conditioned if we flip it and change our frame to dynamically adapt to being an entrepreneur and dominate. We have that personality, but like we don't like not knowing. We don't but as far as like the complete unknown, we go to a door and a search warrant, we have a general idea what's going to happen and we have how we're going to react.
Right.
So we can't know everything. So and then we're okay with that. When we have no basis, no foundation, it freaks us out. And so I started teaching money laundering to kind of debunk that and break it down Barney style and say, this is not that hard. We're not dealing with, the Bernie Madoffs of the world. It's like, it's very easy. You commit a crime and you put that money in the bank. That's money laundering.
Yeah.
You pay for the cell phone, the car, the whatever, that's money laundering. And you don't disclose, you don't say, hey, oh, by the way, I got this from my drug practice. That's money laundering, and so we break it down that, simply. And then we have practicals and we teach them step by step how you do this thing. And they're like, that's it? That's all? I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it. And consistently we'll have a pattern of success. And it's the same thing that we do when we want to be an entrepreneur. I figured this out, especially, cops and other, firefighters and other first responders. They figured this out. Get with them, get in a room. And I promise you, that thing that makes you go to work and dominate the situation will be the same driver that will just, again, that little switch. If you can then say, okay, I believe I'm more and I can have more, great. Now that doesn't mean what you will have to do is not go after every shiny penny and be disciplined and have things mixed and do the work. If you go after shortcuts, it probably won't work out.
Yeah, the shortcuts is actually going to make your goal harder to attain because it's gonna waste that much more time.
Yeah, 100%. And again, that's why I'm so passionate about training these guys professional. Also, just letting them know there is no reason to have any limitations on you. Anybody in this world, in this population, in this society deserves to have abundance. It's our damn guardians.
Yeah.
These women and men that, we don't deserve to have this kind of stress. When we leave our families and go into harm's way each day, but people will, let me just tell you how I would have done. Man, we can't even go to a fast food, company and get the order right. But they can tell us how they would react to a deadly situation. Why'd you have to shoot him? Well, because he was trying to shoot someone else. I don't know what would you to do. They can't even, there's not even, and we have, instead of really saying, look, this is what it is.
Yeah.
We have created this thing. Well, law enforcement is all about community and kumbaya all the time. No, what it's all about is we're in the bad news business. Now we professional and nice and, emotionally prepared. We won't overreact. We'll be effective, efficient, but just understand what this business means. There will be coming a time where there'll be an active shooter. There will come a time when this guy has been beat up, within an inch of his life. There'll come a time when he'll be robbed or, all these things. And you need people willing to do that. It's ugly.
Yeah.
And the public has never seen someone bleeding. Not when someone, grasping for their life, last, breath. Someone, crying out. Someone lady getting, hundreds of thousands of dollars taken from them. Some mom crying where you have to explain to her why her kid has overdosed on fentanyl. Oh, drugs they're not hurting anybody. Really? Go tell that to the family who has tried for months trying to get their kids clean because of one wrong move on one Saturday. Hey, try this. And then they're straight A students. And I went to a case where this cheerleader, straight A's, getting ready to, go off to college, and future. And she goes one Saturday with one knucklehead that the parents had kept her away from. And she did one hit and it was laced with fentanyl and died, and they left her ass.
Wow. That's unfortunate.
Talk about this. No one wants to talk about these things. And we're creating a entitled, immature, population. And same thing with leadership. We want to be leaders. I want you to treat me like the chief and all the trappings and all that, but I don't want to stand up for you because you know what? I might get yelled at. I might be. You can't stand up and defend your position for you. These people that are doing this, on your behalf, right? You can't say, well, here, whoa, hold on. Let me explain you how this works. That team is working their butts off to go and uncover drug trafficking or human trafficking, or recover all these funds that have been stolen from these these elderly people, or just our working people. But we want to say, well, no, the guy that sits on their couch coming up with all these schemes and doing all these things and selling all these, they're the real victim. We are so without backbone and commitment to truth and justice for all that we are willing to flex and say, yeah, you're right, we are the bad guys. No, we aren't. No. Now, we will hunt down bad guys in our midst too. If there are in our midst, we'll call them out. I promise you that. Because guys like you and I that have dedicated our life to truth and justice for all, we will not stand for that.
Exactly.
Get out of here, man. If I find a racist guy, I promise you, I'm not stopping. I'll call that out. I'm going to be like, if you don't fire, I'm going to make sure it's not going to go under. And again, no, anybody that I've really served with, they don't want racism.
Yeah, exactly.
You got that or a girl like that thinks that way. That's a flawed thing.
Yeah.
Now you can have bias and kind of like maybe because you don't know. That's different.
That is different. Yes.
And that's where training helps all these things, where they recognize these things. Oh, you know what? I do have somebody. And yes, now now they're afforded the training and the opportunity to level.
Right.
We want to hold cops to a standard that no one else has to. Do last year at the hands of police officers, there were, justified and some unjustified, killings. We had 1,400. Now, in that same period, 238 people were killed at the hands of doctors and medical practitioners.
Yeah.
They were considered malpractice.
Yeah.
Not accidents. Those 238 were considered malpractice.
Right.
During that same period, police officers had over 2 million engagements. When's the last time you had, I haven't gone to the doctor in 4 years. About that. Imagine if they had 2 million engagements. We'd be talking about millions. And guess what? They still be pushing back. How do I know that? Because we have pharma pushing back on all the stuff, all the poison that are put down. They're allowed to say, oh, you got it wrong. Oh, I know all these people are dead and all, but that's not our fault. Right. You see, they push back on the narrative, whether it's true or not. We are not allowed, and no one defends us. And you lie enough, it hangs on you. And then even people that support it, they start saying, well, if they're not saying anything, if they're not really, then it must be true.
Then silence is
exactly. And now the executives start doubting themselves. No one doubts a winner. No one doubts a winner. And you're given license to be like, when you're winning and doing the right thing, they give you credit for things you haven't even done. Think of think of Chick-fil-A. We just assume, man, and we make assumptions about the food that's not even true. Oh, it's healthier. It's the same damn food as McDonald's, essentially. No, they do some things, but the way they treat you right off the bat, you're like, man, they're so respectful, and my pleasure. Everybody knows it now.
Yep.
You're so organized, like top down. Oh,
Got that reputation. Yep.
Got that reputation of being professional, and forgot my fries. Oh my God, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You feel even when they make a mistake, their owner points with us. Yeah. We're not at that level, and we want to say it doesn't help when you say you are, but you're not at that level. Don't consistently keep making new mistakes and then put it. Hey, we're going to make mistakes, but then you put it on the officer. What's the officer's fault? What? You gave the academy, and after that, you may get 20 hours a year. Where it's rough, where we're giving them legal updates for 7 hours, death by PowerPoint. He has questions the next day. His like, oh my, but you're not there.
Yeah.
Because it's a one-day
after you take the test.
Yeah. But can you utilize it? Can you understand it? Can you put it in a practical? See, that's the difference, for us too. We are mission focused, and our mission is to make sure, because this is our faith. Many of them still serve. Many of our instructors, we have 72 instructors that still serve.
Nice.
12 that are PhDs. We have another 10 that are authors that have written multiple books. Wow. Many of them are still serving. So this is their passion. This is their give back. This is what they are trying to. This is their legacy. So they don't. We have a law. We do not do one-day training. If not, even if it can be done, or the other people have done it one day, we don't, because we know students are going to have questions. They're going to digest it when they go home, and they get to say, hey, you were telling me about this new law, and I have a question. And others, I openly criticize. I don't seem to understand the reasoning why you wouldn't do it. And I feel like it's a money grab, and I feel the focus is not on the student. And we even created, check this out. We're so focused on their success that I even created a community off platform. It's not on Facebook. It's not on anything else. It's off platform, where it's just vetted, criminal justice professionals, law enforcement, where they get in there and they have an opportunity to connect with instructors, with coaches and mentors, whether it's fitness, mental wellness, whether it's, these instructors. Imagine where you and I would be if we had that, man. Imagine being,
I know. Instead of
talking about
winging it.
Yeah, instead of maybe you got a good mentor, maybe you don't. People don't. I was telling somebody else about a mentor. They're like, what? What is that? And we created this vetted community. We call it ADB Nation. That's where they get to, again, connect with each other, learn from each other, and things that they have. Now the instructors, feel empowered that they don't necessarily have to rush and make sure. They got to guarantee that they're going to connect with these students, and they get to raise their hands. And for us, me personally, this whole thing, was done by a police officer for, police officer. It's a place where it's a gathering point where I get to love on these guys. I'm tired of them being criticized. I'll take criticism when it's justified, but for everything, every move I make, hey, you didn't smile. Hey, you said things in the wrong way. Hey, you cursed. You know why I cursed? Because I was scared to death when this guy pulled it.
Yeah.
So you curse when people get your food order.
Or cut you off in traffic.
Yeah. Right. But you're an expert on emotional intelligence and but we have lost our minds. So we have these guys in the nation, and that's a time that I get to love on them and do a bunch of giveaways. We've got partnerships with brand partners like Glock and Staccato, Into the Fence. So we're giving out giveaways every month. We're giving out pistols. We're giving out trips. We're giving out places. We're giving out shake. So they understand. They're incentivized to engage, push themselves, and know that they're valued. If their department, if everybody else is not going to value, we're going to value them. We're going to make sure. We're going to change the narrative. We're going to push back aggressively. If you're not going to defend you got to understand you're a man. Be okay with that.
Yeah.
You're here and you belong at, but a leader. No, wait a minute. Our guys are, and we're increasing that training. And by their decisions. If they make a mistake, no problem. We can live with that. It wasn't because they're evil or just about what you want to say.
Right.
We can live with them. And that's human nature. This is like, we're in the human being business. We're not
The people business. Yep.
You don't get to, spit on them. You don't get to push them. You don't get to threaten them. They have that kind of act. Nobody has consequences except for the officers, because we're being bullied by the public and we're being bullied by our quote unquote. That's not legal.
You're right. You're right.
Cowardice. That's absolute cowardice. Why won't you speak? You'll speak. My DMs are blown up by all these chiefs, but they won't speak in public.
They won't speak publicly.
Now, a couple though, and I speak publicly about them. That's how. And I vet and growing up, and that's where I.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all this information and enlightening us and explaining it the way that you are as well. But if someone's watching this for the first time and they have no idea who you are and they want to get to know you better or get to know more about the trainings better or just understand, how would they what would you suggest to them to get in contact with you or learn more about you or your agency?
Well, I appreciate it. And the best place right now is Monty Bynum. Can connect with me. You can see all the things that we're doing. ADBtraining.com and ADB Nation. Yes, it's scrolling. Thank you. I appreciate that. ADBNation.com as well. And yeah, connect. Get involved with us. Ask questions. Talk to me. Man, I'm going to lean into this being a mouthpiece and being an advocate for our police officers and being an advocate. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not going to be disrespectful and say, run it, leadership into it is of my opinion, and I'm going to show grace that many of them want to do better. They've never been trained. As you know, in the military, it's one thing to say you're a leader. It's another thing to actually be trained. We are trained leaders.
Yes.
The military, with Marine Corps from day one, we have a reading list. We have a training list. We have a training evolution when it comes to leadership, let alone any other skill set. So it's not by happenstance, but out here it's by happenstance, and this is a much more complex career. So this is what we get, but it's not a complete dumpster. And things that can really change your trajectory. And that's the thing that gets me, really optimistic. We got as a team, we got to get out of this hierarchy thing where it's top down. Well, I have no. But you got to get, beyond the desk, and you got to lead your people. We got to get involved. Officers, you got to lead each other. You got to have self-leadership, ownership of where you're at and what you're doing. You can't show up, 30 pounds overweight and never go in. Can't. And then try this. You can. Now you're a liability to me. Now I got to drag your Happy Meal ass out of the line of fire. I'm getting too old for that, bro. Help me out here. Well, these, and I know, come on. So,
thank you, and that explanation. You're right. Accountability is everything. Accountability. We talk about it here as the first responders and law enforcement, that we want the public, the community, civilians to be accountable for their actions and things and know the big picture. But of course, putting that out there, we have to be accountable ourselves, and we have to look for our shortcomings and things that we can improve on, and take a self-reflection and work on self-improvement as well on all areas: mental health, physical fitness, leisure time. Getting that break, that pause in the break, and re-engaging so you can re-engage from a fresh.
You're exactly.
Close your eyes.
And there we have part 2 right there. Again, I apologize for the editing feature. Most of that is out of my control. I know some of the sound jumps ahead. Some of it skips a little bit. Looks like the mouth is moving faster than the words are coming out. I do apologize. I know that can be very annoying, but the message is right there. You get beyond that portion of it. Again, that's out of my control. But if you hear the message, you understand it. We talked about Monty Bynum talked about the use of force, why we use it, physical fitness, why it's important, going after things that you're looking for, self-engagement, self-reflection, again, accountability, self-awareness, knowing who you are on both sides of the coin, whether it's community service, whether it's law enforcement, what have you. All of it comes together in one full circle because we legitimately all want to work together. So come back. We got part 3. We'll wrap it all up next week. We'll finalize with Monty Bynum next week. It'll be another powerful, wonderful, good engagement here on Black and Blue. The podcast is just for you because we started with Sergeant Be Safe. He gave us to kick off the intro for the use of force. Then it had just had the facts, with the video with the police one incident with the 7-year-old and the 9-year-old, and they had to be subdued. Thankfully, it was a positive outcome all the way around. Then we had to talk about less lethal versus lethal force in that explanation video. And then we finalized it with Monty Bynum's interview, and we're going to continue on to next week, where this is Black and Blue, the podcast just for you, where we go live weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when we go live with the special first responder or law enforcement officer, whether they're rookie season or retiree. We talk about their trainings, experiences, and publications, and we didn't fall short today. Now, beyond after this series is done, I got a wonderful lineup coming. We're going to talk about veterans. We're going to talk about homelessness and how we can combat it with first responders. That you don't want to work, whether it's military, you don't want to work, whether it's law enforcement, and then it gets to the third and fourth quarter of your life and be homeless and don't have anything to look forward to. We're going to talk about agencies and services for that. We're going to talk about human trafficking too. We got someone coming on here that's going to talk about right here locally here in central Pennsylvania, teams that talk about actually combat human trafficking and come up with solutions and try to help the victims. Those are wrapped up in the game. We're going to discuss that as well. Got another author coming on here as well. We got a nice lineup coming. We got some other nice treats coming. Not going to give them all away right now, but stay tuned. Black and Blue is evolving. We're having a lot of fun here. I hope you guys are enjoying the channel. I hope you're learning a lot. If there's a topic or something that you want to talk about or see, put it in the comment section, and we'll see how we can work that into the show as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Coach Clea. I'm your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker. Yes, if you get the Crimes Code book 302, you'll see Ecclesiastics in there, the coldest code switching detective. And my name is Clee, spelled CLEE, standing for Continuing Law Enforcement Edutainment, because we entertain and we educate. Make sure you guys stay safe out there. 10-4, over and out.
Sergeant Be Safe is inviting you to watch this exciting and fun podcast, Black and Blue. It airs weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's just for you. When we go live with a dynamic law enforcement officer or first responder, whether they're rookie, seasoned, or retiree. We talk about their trainings, experiences, and their publications. We've had tremendous guests already, and we have many, many more tremendous guests coming down the pipeline. You want to subscribe.
Sergeant Be Safe is here.
Black and Blue is on various podcasts, especially on YouTube, so make sure you guys subscribe. And don't forget about me, Sergeant Be Safe. I have my own channel too, so make sure you subscribe to that as well. We have many adventures, learning experiences, and we have fun while we do it. You guys don't want to miss it. Not only with the special guests that's being featured, you'll see video skits of me and the bad guys, Rob You Blind, Misdemeanor, Treacherous Tony, Chance Wilder, aka Wild Chance, and Sapphire Steel. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Black as you is, there's a whole lot of blue still shining through.
I'm not a bad cop.
I never once said you were. It would be real simple if the problem was bad cops. It ain't.
Just the facts, ma'am.